the session. So welcome to the Node.js NAPI team meeting for September 27th, 2018. We have a number of things on our agenda. We'll go through our milestones in terms of reviewing the progress we're making there. But first of all, we wanted to start off with issue number 334. And we have two guests who are part of that discussion, and sort of we'll kick it off there. So I don't know, I think our guests can only type. So I don't know, Gabriel, if you want to provide some context, do you want me to provide some context? I'm good either way.
Sure. So basically, Yajon came forward with a new implementation of NAPI on top of a fork of IoT.js, if that's my correct understanding. And the issue is that we wish to establish a common testing infrastructure for the two implementations of NAPI, and we should discuss what would be the best way going forward for that. So I guess the state of the art of that discussion is that we should eventually establish a package called what did we agree to call it? The Node API tests, or something like that.
I think we have NAPI, Node.js/NAPI test suite was the last.
Oh, yeah. Node.js/NAPI test suite. Yeah, that would be the way to go. But there are some issues with how we should maintain that package and the repo, because our tests are fairly deeply integrated with the Node.js build system. So then that's another part of the discussion that we need to have.
Right. So I guess on that front, in terms of extracting them, the thought I'd had is that if possible, it probably would be easiest if we had had something which could, check out Node and then extract the test suite, and then build that test suite.
Hey, Michael, sorry to interrupt, but Hitesh is on the call now.
Okay, great, thanks.
So when you say build, how do you mean build? The test?
Basically have a target where you could build them. It would need to, since it's going to be building against different runtimes, it would need to be able to point to where configure it so you could point to where the NAPI include files were.
Ah, right. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the build system is even the same, because I believe at least JavaScript uses CMake rather than JIP. So I'm not sure what else will be needed. So Yuzhang, if you can tell us what kind of build system is being used by Shadow Node. Is it CMake? And if so, how do you consume npm packages containing native modules? That's what we need from you.
We're just giving them a little bit of time to type a response.
Oh, here we go. Use the same building tool like IoT.js. So they said Shadow Node uses the same building tool as IoT.js. It uses CMake too. Okay. Okay, so this makes it very similar to what I did in JavaScript, which is to create a script that creates CMake targets. Another question for Yuzhong. Does IoT.js and the shadow node fork, does it ultimately create an executable that contains all the native modules statically linked, or is it able to do dynamic linking at runtime? Is it able to load modules from the file system at the runtime? Because JavaScript is fully statically linked, and the main, you have to write the main, and then it loads static libraries for which you can add library constructors, and so it's all one binary. But is Shadow Node able to load binaries at runtime? Does it use DL open? Okay, so it uses DL open then. Okay, so then so correct me if I'm wrong. Should we then when we create this repo, should we add a script that generates the CMake files in such a way that it creates shared objects? I'm going to check meanwhile.
Sure. If
there is, if on the Shadow Node repo there's a. Okay, so the question again, is it a good idea if we add a script that after after extracting the test suite creates CMake files for generating dynamic shared objects? Is that a good idea to add? Let me just see here. Yes, a script to create the files, like this cmakelists.txt. So basically a script that converts binding.jip into cmakelists.txt.
I wonder if what makes sense is if somehow we extract those into the separate repo, and then Yorkie and the team there can sort of figure out if they can use those.
Which
and how, right?
Use the CMake files?
Well, or like we could start by just extracting exactly, take what's in Node, extract it into that separate repo. Maybe even manually, right?
Yeah, that's possible.
And then
there is one question though. Okay, hold on. I think we should support other building tool, not only for CMake. Okay.
So this is sort of
now. Okay, even though now JavaScript and Shadow Node use CMake.
Sort of what I was suggesting was, if we extracted the core tests, then for each platform, it may actually need to have some additional files in terms of building.
Yeah.
And maybe we can figure out like a directory, subdirectory structure or something like that, where the people working on those particular platforms can figure out what needs to happen and contribute those.
Okay, so they say right now bindings for Shadow Node could be built with Node.js directly.
Okay, so that's even better.
So no CMake file is required. Okay, so it sounds like for now we should simply mirror the subdirectory,
and then is it as simple as that? Just mirror the subdirectory and we're good to start with.
So yeah, we may need to stop relying on things like common.js and stuff like that. So what other changes are required besides this is a question to Yorkie and your team. What other changes are required besides creating the repo that contains only the test suite? Nothing for now.
Okay.
Okay. So it sounds like what we need to do then is do we need to open an issue? Do we need to open an issue on admin for this to get a new repo?
Yep. I think that's what we should do. Basically, open the issue on admin for a new repo. Once we have that, I'd actually say let's just do a manual extract to start with.
Yeah.
And then we can figure out automating that if we need to.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Thank you, Yorkie. I think we can move forward from here.
Yeah, we can continue to sort of track progress in that issue. We'll create the repo, make a copy, and then, you know, if you can comment there if there's other things that need to happen, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because then we'll have, okay, but I'm going to propose just move the test suite outside the Node.js core repository. Yeah, that's what we will do.
Well, yeah, except that the main copy would still be in the Node.js core repo. We would just have a copy of that, at least to start.
Yes, Michael's right. So we will basically copy it for now, and then we'll see. Maybe later we can move it if we can figure out like a common testing infrastructure. But if not, then we'll just keep an up-to-date copy.
Yeah.
And we can have like eventually we can have an automated script that will update the repo with changes to the test.
Yeah.
Let's see, open issue on Node.js. Oops, sorry about that. So let's see, open issue on Node.js admin. To copy test add-ons nappy. Copy test add-ons nappy to a new repo called nappy test suite. Okay. So they said +1. So I think we're good.
Okay.
We can move forward with this, and then the good news is that we'll have a repo in which to discuss issues pertaining to this common infrastructure and all that. So that should give us more than just a repo. It gives us a forum in which to go back and forth between the core repo and Shadow Node.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Okay, thanks, Yorkie and team.
Okay, so let's move to our standard agenda, which is looking at our milestones. I will share this one. So milestone 10, I've moved everything except for investigate user pre-build with an API. I wasn't quite sure if they wanted to let Jim check in before that was, we moved that one.
Yeah, so the person who reviewed my original pull request has requested, oh, there we go. You see it there. Well, no, on the it doesn't matter on the main page. Anyway, the guy who reviewed my PR has requested the maintainer to take a look at it. So it's moving forward just very slowly.
Okay. So I think this one, I'm just, rather than listing it 10 and 11 every time, I'm just going to tag it for 11 for now.
Okay.
I just thought if it was done, I would leave it in 10, but hey, doesn't really matter. So 11. Okay. So we already talked about that one. SQL port. Anisha hasn't had a time to look at it yet. I do hope to catch up with her again soon. but nothing to report on that front. Burn down the list of issues raised by module owners. Any peep things to raise on that front?
I haven't seen any new ones of late.
Okay. I'm just going to create a new issue, which you can probably see me doing, which is just so that we can have it on the agenda here.
I did see that the upgrade to V8.7 had broken native modules. Did NAPI modules get affected by that?
Nobody reached out to me. I don't know about you, Gabriel.
I'm sorry, I was off for a few seconds. Regarding?
The upgrade to V8.7, I just see on, let me just paste the comment. Anna had mentioned that a bunch of native modules got broken by that.
Okay.
And I was wondering if NAPI modules were affected at all. I guess not, because they could not have taken a dependency on this.
Yeah, let's take a look. Where?
Well, I mean, unless the NAPI implementation is broken, but if Node itself builds correctly, then
we should be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be all right.
And our test should still be running, right? So, is this? I mean, is this an example that?
So I don't know. I mean, we got this landed. Therefore, the test suite must have been green. So.
Well, our test suite, yeah. So this may be an example of the value of an API.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So.
Oh, I see. So the regular tests incurred breakage, but the NAPI tests did not. Is that how it is?
Well, I think the comment was that there's a bunch of deprecated. It says removal of deprecated versions of V8 methods breaks a lot of add-ons and generates a large number of failing system entries. What is there something we want to do about it, right? Like, so clearly this broke a bunch of things.
Yeah, but this sounds like more of an ecosystem issue, because I mean these methods were deprecated and they were deprecated for a while, and now they were finally removed. So they followed through on their warning that they've been issuing for a long time.
But if people had been using NAPI, then we would have changed behind the scenes.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's just, I think Hitesh was maybe pointing out, this is pointing out a concrete instance.
Yes, for sure.
Everything was using NAPI and only NAPI, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, this would have blown over without any consequences to the module.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right. And I wonder if we should reach out to the owners of the failing SysGem modules and say, hey, if you need to fix up here, maybe you want to consider moving to an API.
It's a good idea. Do you by chance have any time to look at that list?
I can probably find some time.
Okay, because I think that would be good. Like if there's some good candidates in there to say, hey, here's a case, because what would be an even better sort of messages, this happened, there was some breakage, somebody moved to NAPI and now they're good for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you found one that, okay. So do we want to open an issue for that? I'm going to say, I think so.
We might consider offering mentoring also, Michael, so that if a NAND module maintainer wants to convert to NAPI and they want some one-on-one help, that we could offer that for them.
Yeah, definitely. So, and you're thinking like reach out to those specific owners too, right?
Yes.
Okay, investigate. NAPI. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to assign it to Hitesh. Right.
Yep, I'll take a look at those.
Okay.
And I'll get back to y'all next week. And on that note, I need to drop out of this call, but Kyle's still on. And so you can let him know if you need me to look at anything else.
Okay. I'm just saying
All right.
offer mentor. Okay, sounds good.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that's good. So otherwise I haven't seen any major new ones either. So okay, so next Node.js API release, I just think it's good for us to go through that in terms of what we want to push forward on. So this make nothing target static library, I think that was just waiting for an update from you, Gabriel.
I think I might have updated that, but let me double check. Boy, where is it now? Well, for the first time in my life, I'm searching for nothing in my browser.
Well, here, I'm going to paste you the link.
I got it. Okay. I got it. So, okay. So no, I think I changed that so that it does like a .a file. So yeah. So I went from what was it before? Type, I forget what the original was, but right now it's okay. So it creates a .a file on Unix and a .lib file on Windows. So in neither case does it create a .node file. So then the checker script should no longer need to filter once this is pushed through.
So this is ready to go.
I believe so. Yes.
And what does it end up doing? So basically, if you just say make, it gives you. So
what this does is for cases where Node add-on API finds a version of an API inside Node.js that it can use, then this dependency target, this JIP dependency target that would normally cause the version of an API shipped with Node add-on API to be compiled as a static library will cause nothing to happen. But because of the way JIP generates the make file, it will still create a target which results in an empty library. And so basically you need to, wait a minute. No, I think I do need one more change here.
That's kind of, like from my read of it, was it kind of like you were going to make another change.
Yes. Okay. We need to create a file that is empty, like a 0-byte C file, and give that as the source, so that when it creates the static library, it has a source file out of which to create it. Because otherwise, on Mac, it just fails because the Mac linker requires at least one input file, and so that isn't there. Okay. Yes. So I do need to change this. This should be very, very quick. But yeah, that's what we need, and then we have that file, and then it'll create the .a file, and then the .a file has the wrong extension. It doesn't have a .node extension, and so it should not be picked up by the checker script.
Okay, so you're going to push one more change, then we'll get that landed.
Yep.
Async context class. This one. Okay, so basically says, no. Okay, so we'll say that one. I figure we can, it sounds like Roman Dev is going to push on that this weekend, so we'll wait until next week, but it sounds like it's coming, which is good. And then this one, it's a bit big, so Gabriel and I and whoever else wants to stick around are going to go through it after the this meeting. Okay, so I think that sounds like we should be getting close to being able to do that next week. Okay. Proposal adds some labels. I guess this isn't actually on the milestone agenda, but does anybody object to doing that?
No, seems like a good idea.
No, yeah, that's
good.
Okay, so Nicola, I think just go ahead and do it.
Okay. I will provide later.
Sounds good. Okay. Talked about this one. Talked about this one. I think we touched on those topics for NAPI Collaborator Summit. I think we've talked about, and we're good. Creating the matrix of tested methods. Just the only thing I'll mention there is Andrew was working on some code coverage generation, so I pasted in this PDF, which I guess you're not going to be able to see, but let me change the sharing of that. And then share. Is that this one? Right. So basically, it's not as nice as the HTML ones, but it shows roughly what things are actually being tested and not tested. So it's another thing to look at that in terms of that list and not listed. I was a little concerned, like it's a bit funny in that the because they're only inline headers. I'm not sure this coverage number is correct. Although in 96, I guess it's not impossible. But, the places that don't seem to be covered, I did some sniff testing, and it did seem like they were actually not tested. So anyway, I didn't want to take too much time, just want to show that. So that's there. And hopefully we'll get to the point where you can, at least on Linux, you can generate a similar coverage report just by running one of the targets or something. It's a bit tricky, like what's there now would do it all the time. Which I think might get, it'd be like a 50% more testing, which is maybe not great, but if you do want to run it, I can point you at the branch that you could do it from. And I've already seen, so anybody who's listening and people here, I've already seen some people contributing some tests to close coverage, so that's great. Thanks everybody who's already starting to look at that. Discuss how we should advocate use of badges. So Gabriel, any update on that front?
Yeah, the repo, the PR in the main repo has had one change added, which is to use absolute paths for the badges. So now they should be fully in the main repo once that PR lands, but we still haven't gotten any reaction to that.
Okay.
And I haven't had time to move forward with the plan of adding a similar blurb to ABI stable node. I haven't really had time to review the README there, because I suspect I need to prepare the README for this person's contribution to arrive.
Yep.
And I haven't had a chance to do that.
Yep. Okay, makes sense. Documenting the limitations of ABI stability. I know there was an update to be done there, but I just see, yeah, you commented that you and Nicola are still talking about an issue to be addressed first, right?
Yes. Basically, add a document to the main repo explaining in detail what it means to be ABI stable, more so than just the API reference.
Yep.
Maybe even take those slides from the workshop and add them, or in some abridged fashion.
Yep.
But yeah, that's another thing I haven't gotten around to doing yet.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so no update. Just move on. We'll just check through, discuss. Okay. community corner session, I think we talked about and we were good. Node.conf.eu and API workshops. So I know we talked about this in one of the meetings. Jim suggested we add it, which makes sense. So maybe we should spend a few minutes just figuring out what we need to do to start getting prepared for that.
Right. So I'll let people get caught up here. And then there are topics for discussion. So are we ready for discussion?
I think so.
Okay, so I was just wondering if we had lessons from Node Summit, things that we learned that would help us improve for NodeConf.eu.
I think personally, the one thing I thought was the example that used the generator.
Okay.
If we actually made a simpler generator as the first step and then did the object wrap one as the second one, I think that would be good.
Okay. And we had mentioned that to Hitash during an earlier call.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if we got clarity on what's happening there.
I think I think he was an agreement, but still work to be done. So maybe Kyle, could you follow up with him? He said if we wanted to assign him anything to let you know.
Sure. So it was just simplifying the NAPI workshop.
I know it was basically for the generator he wrote.
Okay.
Providing an option that allows you to just generate like a really hello world.
Okay, sure.
Right now it generates a hello world, but assuming you want object wrap, which is actually, a fair amount more complicated than just a hello world.
Sure. Okay. Did we have any ideas specifically about, sorry, I'm trying to look up, because there is a GitHub repo for that thing.
Yeah. I think it would just be some, whether through, when it starts, it asks you which use case do you want to follow, right? Like it could be simple or object wrap or some names like that. And then if you select object wrap, it'll do what it does today. If you select simple, it'll generate some stuff, but it'll be basically just, a C method that is exported on an object. That object is then called from the JavaScript test side.
I see. Okay, yeah, I can talk to him about that and see if we can make that change.
Okay.
Would it be useful to put an issue on that repo?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Okay.
Here. So
Oh, okay.
obviously chime in with any additional comments. Let's see. Oh, so nope. Copy and paste.
Where did the chat go? Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it into the chat. Apparently, copy and paste is not. There we go. So, obviously, I think that is a very high level capturing of what you're looking for. I mean, honestly, if it were a module that just returned hello world, that's probably wouldn't actually be a bad. That's kind of the interpretation of what I got. If it just had a single function that returned the string hello world and we tested for it, is that on the level?
Yeah, it would pretty much be the same as our first test, like our first API test.
Okay.
You could almost just copy that.
Which test is that? Is it in the Node repo or in the Node?
Yeah, in the Node repo, test add-ons nappy /1_hello_world. That would pretty much be the source code for it.
Yeah, I think that would be the simple one, and we could even extend it at some point. But
I think that module's using Node add-on API, so it'd be slightly different, right? I think.
Oh, yeah.
The premise, so it's basically the same test, but written in Node add-on API.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. That should be easy enough. Yep. Well, I opened an issue and I'll chat with him. I don't see that being a problem.
Right. Sounds good. Okay. So, okay, what happened here? I think okay, here we go. So it seems like, okay, that's the first step.
Okay.
The next step is to update the workshop to have the two steps, have the two different steps, and
yeah, I can make that happen.
Okay, sounds good. Any other? So yeah, that was lesson learned. Any from anybody else? I think it was good to have the list of modules, so we should do that again.
Oh, right. Yes. So if we, that's a good resource to have. Now, if we look at the slides, there's a slide in there on other talks that we'll need to look at. As it turns out, it looks like our workshop is scheduled for the last hours of the conference.
Okay.
So we may need to take that slide out.
Right.
Because it won't be pertinent. However, during your talk, you can talk up the workshop later in the conference.
Although I don't think we have an NAPI talk.
Oh, okay. You're there for other purposes. Okay.
Yeah, I have a one on diagnostic stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, we should probably just remove. Which slide was that? Sorry, maybe if we just walk through. So
sure.
We have all the about, so that's still because we had everybody, so that's good. Workshops.
Oh, the contributors page. I don't know if we need to make an update to that page.
That's probably a good idea.
And I have that in my. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I'm just typing that in here.
Yeah. Yep.
Anybody want to volunteer for that one?
Where is that derived from, Michael?
Basically, we would look here, npm GitHub. And we could get in here is the README that has the contributors. Where is it? No, okay, sorry, I'm looking. I guess that's this list. And okay, GitHub, I wonder, actually, it may not need to be. And this one, so probably in here we have a list of people too.
I'm not seeing changes on my screen, Michael.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, I'm not sharing the right thing. Share. Like this is on ABI stable node. This is a list of project participants. Then we also have node add-on API, and in there is that list. So I think we'd want the superset of those two.
Okay, I'll do that, Michael.
And then I think there were also some people who were added who like just participated along the way too. So
okay, all right.
So, yeah, okay.
I just pasted a command that you can use for getting a rough estimate of who has contributed. So I ran this command on Node.js on API, and there are quite a few names that came up that I don't believe are on that sort of collage.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel.
Okay, so
I
will
just know that on API, it's not even like an API. I think I can make a command for that as well, because you need to basically look at files that are part of an API. So I mean, anybody who's touched like src node api.cc or .h or doc api napi.md, if you look at those files alone, you should get a pretty good idea of who's contributed. So I'll go do that now for the main repo and see if I don't get anything that blows up.
Okay.
Chances are there's going to be a long list of names.
Yeah, it could be at some point. I don't know if pictures will still work or whatever, but
yeah. I mean, yeah. It would be like one of those, you just finished the game and there's a big long scrolling list at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so oops, what is this? I don't want to change anything. Yeah, I don't. This slide we should probably just delete.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just delete that here?
Yes.
Okay. Just change this one.
Yeah, I just pasted another command for the Node main repo. It's a rather large list because I mean a lot of the contributors or a lot of the collaborators have also contributed to an API since then. So it gets substantial.
Okay.
Yeah, like I mean, the question is we could make that the sort of work group members, right? If we wanted to shift to that versus contributors.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I don't know, maybe present and former ones, right? Work group members, and then we could just say like plus scores of collaborators.
Plus, no, at this point, a bunch of collaborators.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a few. I mean, this doesn't have like smart duplication removal, but there aren't that many duplications. It's mostly just new names.
Maybe Jim, you can take a look at the list and figure out what might make sense.
Yeah, and then we can discuss it at a future meeting.
Sounds good. Right, so this would be right.
Yeah, and I'll fill that in.
Okay.
And then oh God, if we could just be so lucky that I have pre-build landed by then.
Well, here, let's put it in. Just
yeah, I'd love to have that in there.
We'll just leave it as a placeholder.
Okay, good.
For now.
Okay.
Are there any others that people think of that we should add, or we have a bit more time in this one?
Yeah, they've given us 3 hours.
How much did we have at Summit? Was it 2?
Might have been an hour and a half even.
Ah, yes.
Like this one is kind of broken out in that there is an hour and a half, then there's a break, and then another hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Tutorials, but I mean that just may mean people who are really keen can work on individual projects.
Mm-hmm.
And the list of modules that we suggest are good candidates for porting.
Right. So the last thing is to portion out the slides to the individual speakers.
Yeah. Just thinking, Gabriel, is there anything else in terms of like async? I'm just thinking, so we have object wrap. Hey, we have an async worker one, okay. So I guess and really the other async stuff you've added is a fairly advanced topic, right? Is that something we want to go into or not? Yeah, the thread safe.
The thread safe?
Yeah.
Well, there's no Node add-on API for it.
Right. Okay. Well, that we could still do that.
I can ask around. I can ask around during the during the portion of the workshop, which is self-directed.
Yep.
If anybody's interested in, I mean, okay, we can just throw it out there. Like if anybody's interested in looking at thread safe functions, because I did get a pull request for my round trip example since I put it online, and so I sort of landed the PR inside my own fork, and then when I finally get to updating it, it'll be there. So there was at least one person interested. It was a minor but very telling change. So basically, they removed the binding, which would retrieve a value, and they replaced it with like a getter. And so that was basically their attempt to ramp up with an API. But at the same time, it made a very, very important and sort of very conceptually sound change to the example. And so if either that person or persons like that person show up, then I would be happy to entertain changes to the example, or even get their own example up and running and so forth. But that depends entirely on the audience. So I think we should maybe just throw it out there as sort of a thought. And if anybody's interested, then definitely.
Okay, so we'll just think. So we've got enough content. So we think with that tweak that we have, we'll have 2 examples. We have enough content. And okay, so then we want to look at who's going to do which ones, right?
Right.
Yep. I think we'd even put like multiple people on some of them, right?
Right. Yes, we put one person for Summit and one person for NodeConf EU. So I think we can take the Summit person off each slide and just leave the NodeConf EU person.
Okay, so basically, in this case, I'm going to take you off, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm happy to surrender the objective one as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be fine. That would be fine.
Okay, so which one? That's
slide number 8. Oh,
8?
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Slide number 9.
Yeah, 9 or 10. I'm happy to give those up.
Okay.
Oh, give them up. I thought you were offering to give them.
I'll give them to you.
No, I mean, my picture is on them right now, but I'm
okay.
offering them
I'm
up.
happy. Yeah, I'm happy to do those.
Okay, so here I will. Good. Okay. Then we have Gabriel. Then we had here.
Yeah, so that would be Nicola.
Right.
Same.
Oh, excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Thanks. Oops. Don't want to do that. Okay, now this. I think that's this.
Wait, yeah.
Is Hitesh going to be there?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning and see how it looks. So talk about ourselves. That's fair enough. Whoever is the last person there, I would say, leads into this. Then Jim will take us through the intro. Gabriel will talk us a bit about the things. Nicola can take us through the history. Online tutorials. Jim will come back for that. We'll work on eventual projects, and I can cover the sort of roundup at the end.
Nice.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have a few tweaks here and there, but otherwise sounds good. So anything else you want to discuss this week on that, Jim?
No, I think we're good. I feel good about the progress we made this week.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I think that was everything that was on our agenda.
Right.
Anything else people want to talk about?
Yes. I want to work on adding JSON parse, JSON stringify on Node.js API. Is it right for you?
So what do you mean? Is that a module or is it?
No, as utility function on Node.js API.
Okay.
There is an I post the issue that I found.
Sure.
Here. The 66 on Node.js API repo. I posted on the chat.
Okay. Okay. I'm just opening that up. I'll share it. Share.
I followed the discussion here, and I agree with you. Maybe if we want to add this, I can just trying to call JSON stringify, JSON parse that from JS function.
Right. Okay. So this is basically that NaN has a JSON. What do the NaN ones look like?
So does it use any V8 API, or does it simply retrieve the property of the global object?
I want to simply retrieve the property from the global object.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if it's. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think that maybe it's could be not good for performance, maybe, but I can try and maybe do some tests about.
I think that's a good idea. Like it would, so basically there'll be no new NAPI functions, but Node and NAPI will have this as a trend as to let you migrate more easily from NaN.
Ah, yes, definitely. Then I'm assuming NaN also implements it as a property lookup and function call, right? Because I don't believe V8 has API for this to expose it otherwise, right? Like for JSON.
V8, yeah, I think that V8 has this API. I think, but NaN expose JSON parse, JSON stringify, and but it's a wrapper around the V8 JSON.
Yeah,
right, so
yeah, okay. So ours would be a lot less efficient than that, because we couldn't wrap V8's JSON object, because we would have to go through an API to do that. But yeah, with property lookup as a backup, it should be all right. But then we need to check what kinds of modules have been using this NAND, because they may expect a certain kind of performance which they've been getting with NAND. So we should be careful about proclaiming this as being like a substitute for the NAND version, right? Because it's implemented way differently.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think once we see the implementation, we can kind of judge as well whether we think it's going to be slow or not, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, let's do it one way or the other. I mean, in the worst case or in the extreme case or whatever you want to call it, we will add an NAPI because people need this and they need this to perform.
Right.
This API can be implemented on every engine for certain, because it could be implemented as we are about to implement it in Node add-on API.
Right.
So that's not going to be an issue, and if it's in wide enough usage, then it makes sense to add it. But to start with Node add-on API also makes a great deal of sense.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do it, and maybe I try to do some performance tests against different implementation from comparing NAND modules and the API that I want to add.
Sounds great.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, anything else before we end for today?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, I'm going to stop the